What's up, guys? Jordan McAbee here, fantasyracing.online.com, home of the Slingshot Fantasy Auto Contest. Today we're getting ready for Richmond and the Toyota Owners 400. Got 400 laps scheduled around Richmond Raceway on Sunday afternoon. This is a 3/4 of a mile track, flat track again. So we got 300 miles. Martin Truex Jr. is on the pole. Got Hamlin starting second, Chase Elliott, William Byron, Joey Logano. All starting top five. Kyle Larson, Blaney, Christopher Bell, Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch. Rounding out the top 10. And then a couple of big name guys, starting back from last week's Wreckfest, or what turned into a Wreckfest at Martinsville. We got Brad Keselowski starting 20th. Alex Bowman starting 24th. Daniel Suarez starting 27th. Eric Jones 30th. Corey LaJoie, who knows, he had like a legitimate top 15 run going at Martinsville, and whatever the hell happened on pit road, I wasn't even watching at the time, but I just noticed my DraftKings lineups going to shit. Because I think I had LaJoie like 100% in high dollar. So that was fun, but yeah. So Richmond, like I said, flat track, compares very well to Phoenix. So this is our third. This will be the 9th points paying race of the season this weekend. So we've had Phoenix, Martinsville last week, and then Richmond through the first 9 races of the year. So we can really look back at who was fast at, especially Phoenix, because it compares the most and the best to Richmond, which, by the way, I just noticed Austin Cindric's racing in this race, so he's starting dead last thanks to the formula. He's running that number 33 Penske car, so we'll have really good equipment and starting last. So obviously a choice and a good option in any place differential fantasy league. But what was I saying? Oh, so Phoenix compares really well to Richmond. The drivers that were fast, I said it last week with Martinsville. I said it at Phoenix. I'm going to say it again. We know who's going to be good in this race. We know who the fastest cars are going to be. There's not going to be – there might be one surprise. I'm not going to sit here and say there won't be any surprises. But these flat tracks are super predictable. And it's just – we know who's good here. We know who runs well here. We know who was fast at Phoenix. We know who was fast at Martinsville. So let's go ahead and look at green flag speed at Phoenix. Denny Hamlin had the best green flag speed. Martin Truex Jr. won the race late there. They really came on in the second half of the race. And then, as it got later in the day, then he took the lead and ended up winning it. Logano dominated, most of the first half of it. Larson had a great car that race. Blaney, And then we look at Martinsville last weekend. Again, Denny Hamlin, best green flag speed in that race. Martin Truex Jr., who was kind of there all day, didn't take over till, like 20 laps to go. Sun went down, night race. Of course, Martin Truex Jr. is going to be good at night. Ryan Blaney, great car, could have won, pissed it away at the end. Kind of, he pulled a Denny Hamlin, even though Denny Hamlin hasn't really pulled a Denny Hamlin this year, but that's what Ryan Blaney did. Chase Elliott was there all day. We have not really seen, race winning speed out of Elliott probably since Daytona Road Course. Because Bell still had a really good car that race, but Chase Elliott, they're just not quite there right now, and it's probably because we got so used to how good Chase was at the end of last year, in the second half of last year. But still, he's cranking off top fives. Kyle Busch actually had really good green flag speed. I forget what happened to him, why he finished 10th. Was he involved in that wreck? I think he might have been. Once again, Christopher Bell's up there. Kyle Larson had a great race at a track that he typically doesn't run very well at. That's notable. And one reason I really like him. And then, of course, Keselowski and Bowman got caught up in wrecks. looking back at last year's race at Richmond, so best green flag speed in that race was Kevin Harvick, who started on the pole. Austin Dillon had a really good car last year here at Richmond. And then, of course, Keselowski, Logano, Truex finished 1, 2, 3. Keselowski won, Truex second, Logano third, Austin Dillon fourth. But again, same people like Chase Elliott, Kyle Busch. These are the same people that we come to expect and that we know are going to run well at flat tracks. The only driver that I would say kind of is not one to be very wary of this weekend, and one that like I'm going to completely fade probably in fantasy until he can show me something at Richmond, is Ryan Blaney. I don't know why the hell he can't figure out this racetrack. I don't know if it's because it's a night race. I've pointed out before that I think, something with Ryan Blaney and night races just don't really match up. He runs very well. He runs a lot better in day races than he does at night races. Same with Kevin Harvick. It's not as apparent with Kevin Harvick as it is with Blaney. But anyway, Richmond, Ryan Blaney, just awful. Average finish of 24.8. He's been decent these last 2-3 years, but decent for him is finishing in the teens, the high teens, the 17th or 19th. And that just doesn't do it for in fantasy NASCAR and in DFS and fantasy NASCAR in general. Which, by the way, while I'm thinking about it, today is Wednesday. This video will go up on Thursday. If it's still available, William Hill Sportsbook is offering Christopher Bell plus 120 over Ryan Blaney in a head-to-head matchup. Not gonna say you should do it, but I'm about to dump all of my money on this bet. It does not make sense that Ryan Blaney is favored over Christopher Bell in this matchup at all. I don't know if Vegas knows something that I don't, but simply going off of track record, there is no reason that Ryan Blaney should be favored in that matchup. So to get Christopher Bell at plus 120, of course, he'll probably, lap one, he'll probably blow an engine. Like, just my luck. But anyway, love that bet. Had to get that in there. I did write an article about it. It's in my best bets article this week. I don't expect that bet to stay available for very long. I would expect, I'm fully expecting Christopher Bell to be the one favored in that matchup by the time the weekend comes around. But figured I'd mention it here. If anybody is looking to bet head-to-head and want a really good matchup, I would definitely recommend that one. But anyway, so Ryan Blaney's kind of the exception at Richmond. Really good at flat tracks. Obviously, probably had the car to beat at Martinsville last week. If not, definitely top 2, top 3. Just doesn't get it done here at Richmond. And like I said, I don't know why. One more guy who doesn't have a great record here that could surprise this weekend, or probably should, just the way he's running, is William Byron. Has 0 top 10s and 5 starts here. Had a decent race his first time here, but just nothing significant. It's one of those, you can't discount the fact that William Byron is having a really, really good year. Look at that. He hasn't finished worse than 8th since the Daytona Road Course. Finished 4th at Martinsville last weekend. Obviously won at Homestead. So someone to keep an eye on. Definitely, and I don't really like him for slingshot, but just an overall fantasy NASCAR, definitely someone to kind of take his history here with a grain of salt. But anyway, let's look at Richmond here. Last 2 years of Richmond data. So we only had one race here last year. It was in September. We had 2 races here in 2018. And then it was always 2 races at Richmond. And then we went down to 1 last year with COVID. I think that was a reason. I'm pretty sure there was 2 scheduled. Anyway, average finish over the last 3 races here. No surprise, Martin Truex Jr., average finish of 1.3. Keselowski, 4.3. Excuse me. Kyle Busch, 5.3. You can see it. Same guys all the time. We know who's going to be good here. Noteworthy here, Austin Dillon, average finish of 11th, which is 7th best. Going to average running position, Truex, Keselowski, both very solid. Kyle Busch, Harvick. Not a lot change. Like, just like most flat tracks, if you're good here, you run well, and you run well the entire race. And really, the only thing that changes is if you pull a Denny Hamlin and speed on pit road, or if you have some kind of mechanical issue or just something unexpected, that's when we get the surprises. But we obviously can't predict those when we're making picks. We can only pick the best cars, and that's what we have to roll with. So let's go to my algorithm predicted finishing order. Of course, everyone's going to have Truex predicted first this week. If they don't, it's because they're intentionally going against the no-brain pick. He won at Phoenix. He won at Martinsville, the 2 flat tracks this year. He's won 2 of the last 3 Richmond races. Like, there's no reason to go against him. It's if you are, you're just being intentionally obtuse. Like, he's arguably, he's not. I don't think he's the fastest car this year, but I believe that team is the best at adjusting mid-race, and obviously when the lights go or when the sun goes down, Truex is the best. He's the best night racer in the series. And cherry on top this week, he's running the auto owners paint scheme, which I don't know if you don't follow me on Twitter, please do. But I did a whole write-up on Truex and his auto owners paint scheme, and I forget the exact numbers, but he's significantly more likely to dominate and finish a lot better than with that paint scheme than he is his regular paint schemes. And it's just interesting to note, and I will always point it out when he's running that car. But anyway, he's starting from the pole this week. Definitely going to be a contender. Always good here. We'll go over him in a little bit more. Got Larson predicted to finish second, Denny Hamlin third, Joey Logano 4th, Chase Elliott 5th, Keselowski 6th. You get the point. Same guys. It's always the same guys. One thing, and I put this in the algorithm article, it does predict Blaney to finish 10th. I do not agree with that. I would just take that with a grain of salt. Obviously, sometime Ryan Blaney is going to figure this track out, and he's going to get a good finish, and he's going to make us all look dumb because it is Ryan Blaney. It is a Penske car. It's a flat track. But it's almost like until prove me wrong, and then we'll talk. Until then, yeah. But let's go. I think we went over everything I wanted to go over. Betting odds this week: Truex favorite at 4-1, Hamlin 6-1, Keselowski 7-1. These were as of like Wednesday afternoon on DraftKings. Got Larson opened at 10-1. That was another article I put up earlier this week. As soon as I woke up on Monday and saw that Larson was 10-1, I was like, people should probably bet that because that's awesome value on Larson. Here at Richmond, where he's won before. He's been the fastest car pretty much all year. Had a great car at Phoenix, which, like I said, speed translates from Phoenix to Richmond very well. So, and this should be his first flat track where he doesn't have anything going against him, I guess is the best way to put it. So, like Martinsville last week, he started back in 20th or whatever. Phoenix, he had to start in the rear of the field because of inspection issues, and then he had a couple speeding penalties. If everything, as long as NASCAR doesn't find anything wrong with that car before the race here at Richmond on Sunday, there's no way. It's hard to imagine him not contending for the win. Whether he's going to be able to beat Truex and Hamlin, Joe Gibbs Racing has been very good here at Richmond lately, and as has Penske, obviously. But if anybody can do it, Kyle Larson definitely has the speed to do it, and like I said, he's won here before. But let's get into making lineups for the slingshot contest this week. So I know, like I'm pretty sure Keselowski was on my like, I'm not making a lineup without him. Not even considering a lineup without him on it last week. It's going to be the same this week. You can't predict, him getting caught up in that wreck. If he wouldn't have, yes, he was struggling a little bit speed-wise in that race, but I fully believe he would have challenged for a top 5, even with that, somewhat struggle in speed. Logano kind of had the same trajectory all race. He, struggled through the middle portion of it and then came back, and I think he finished 6th. That's kind of what those two have done there. I mean, they did that at Martinsville, the first race at Martinsville in 2020 as well. So it was interesting to see them, basically do the exact same thing, struggle through the middle part of it. Well, I guess, no, Logano didn't. Keselowski did and Blaney did in 2020. This time around, it was Keselowski and Logano. Blaney was solid all race, kind of like Logano was in 2020, if that makes sense. I was getting those three confused. But similar thing, 2 Penske cars struggled. 1 was really good. And then at the end, they were all there or wrecked. But yeah. So this week I'm starting with Keselowski. It's going to be super difficult for me to make any slingshot lineup without him on it. Not only is he really good at flat tracks, he's really good at Richmond. Dominated this race here last year. You can see these numbers. He hasn't finished worse than 11th here since 2015. Constant top 10 threat. He leads quite a bit. Led 192 last year, led 89 in 2019. Just solid all around. He's got the place differential starting 20th. So he's going to be in my slingshot lineup no matter what this weekend. As is probably Austin Cindric. I'm not as 100% on Cindric as I am Keselowski. I can make a lineup that I decently like without Cindric. But at the same time, he's starting 38th. He's in a Penske car. All he has to do is not wreck. And that's what he's done so far in his 2 Cup starts this year. So he was in Daytona 500, finished 15th after starting 39th. And then Atlanta, which we all know is a very tough track, and why Penske even decided to put him in that race, I'm still not sure. But he survived it. He ran out there. He ran a clean race. He finished 22nd. That's about the best we can expect for him, or could have expected for him in that race. As far as Richmond goes this weekend, I could see Austin Cindric being top 15, which is why I think he's definitely he should be a consideration. Especially at that $9,500, price tag here. I could see, maybe pivoting into Christopher Bell or Austin Dillon just because I think Bell has top 5 upside. I think Austin Dillon has top 5 upside, as weird as that is to say. He's just been so good here lately. But Austin Cindric, each position that he moves up is 2 points in this game. So safest route would be Austin Cindric, 9,500, starting 38th. And just, build your lineup from there. As far as lower dollar guys, I don't think was it last week that I talked up BJ McLeod or the week before? I ended up going with LaJoie last week, which again, heartbreak. I don't think I would dig down to McLeod level here at Richmond, just because Richmond is a bit different than Martinsville. Obviously, it's a little bit longer of a track, but you don't see the lower tier guys really moving up, whereas they can at Martinsville. We see so much change with the cars at Martinsville, cars coming, cars going, that, LaJoie was legitimately running top 15, almost top 10 at Martinsville. He's not going to do that here at Richmond. Can he still finish 28th? Probably. Is that worth enough to put him in a lineup of slingshot? Possibly. I don't love it, but it's pretty much the only option we really have down here. I wouldn't go lower than Justin Haley or Corey LaJoie, but I also don't think, when the Richmond race is over, I don't think LaJoie or Haley is going to be in the top lineup, if that makes sense. But one way so what I really want to do here at Richmond is, because it's easier to predict these top finishers. I like going with that, not guaranteed, but kind of guaranteed, and try to stuff in those guys, those higher priced guys that are all going to challenge for top fives, and they are unless they have problems, and try to get as many of those in the lineup as I can, with maybe like a Cindric complementing it, and then, just throwing in LaJoie and just don't wreck, So I love Kyle Larson this week. I've talked about him all week. I'm going to talk about him all weekend. Definitely my favorite play in every league for the most part, and betting as well. Now, to get him in a lineup, though, with, you throw him on there with Keselowski and Cindric, it leaves you $16,000 in salary cap left. Not that much. So you're definitely going to have to dig down here to grab like a Corey LaJoie. Leaves you $9,700. You can get Almirola. I don't love it. I don't hate it. It depends what Eric Almirola shows up. Finished 8th here last year. Sometimes he's good, sometimes he's bad here at Richmond, as you can see. I actually like going down to maybe a Christopher Bell. Like I said, I think he has top 5 upside. I really do. I really think Christopher Bell can finish top 5 this weekend, or Austin Dillon. So in addition to, we talked about Austin Dillon a little bit earlier. He honestly probably had the car to beat last year. He actually had, so looking at fastest laps from the Richmond race last year, Austin Dillon had the most fastest laps in this race, in the Richmond race last year. Then Harvick, then Keselowski. Interesting, Truex only had 11. I found that, not that fastest laps matter in this slingshot contest, but it's definitely noteworthy that, Truex, 295 laps led, only 89 fastest laps over the last 3 Richmond races. That's, Austin Dillon has 85. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has 53. Just interesting stats like that. It shows you, there's often at Richmond quite a few strategies. So I know, I'm pretty sure Stenhouse last year broke the first stage or even both stages into 2. And that's if they do that, they're going to get the fastest laps once they go and get new tires. That's just what's going to happen. But it kind of shows you fastest laps are probably a little bit more spread out than you think here at Richmond. But like I said, it doesn't really have any bearing on this game. It kind of tells you it can tell you who's speedy, though, here at Richmond. But so Austin Dillon, let's get back on track here. 4th last year, one of the fastest cars. 6th, so he's finished 6th or better in 3 of the last 4 at Richmond. Even more than that stat that I like, he's always been pretty good here, take away these first few years, but since 2016, 13th, 15th, 6th, 6th, 4th, Austin Dillon's by no means bad at Richmond. I really like as well how that 3-car looked at Martinsville last week. There were times in that race that Austin was legitimately moving into the top 5 on his speed. If they bring that same type of car here this weekend, I could see him challenging for a top 5. As much as I dislike the guy, but so if I was doing this lineup, Larson, Keselowski, Cindric, Austin Dillon, I'd probably switch out LaJoie for Preece. I think Ryan Preece has top 20 upside. yeah, he doesn't have the place differential that LaJoy does, but at the same time, you can't discount a top 20 finish. Priest also had a really strong car last week. Has been running better than expected pretty much all year. 3 races here at Richmond, 2 finishes of 20th. I'd probably roll the dice with Priest. And like I said, you can come here and grab Christopher Bell as well. Or, Eric Jones. I talked about Jones in my actual write-up for the slingshot game this week. I would say I don't love the pick. I don't trust the equipment, basically. DiBenedetto starts a little, this is about where I'm expecting him to finish, is mid-teens. So he could finish top 10. Definitely could be somewhat of an alternate, I guess, even off of Bell or Dillon and coming down and grabbing DiBenedetto. He's basically in a Penske car, which you have to love at flat tracks. But first year last year with the Wood brothers, finished 17th here at Richmond. Not great. Has never really had a good race here. That was his best race driver rating wise, 77. Nothing that doesn't get me excited at the opportunity of him being an underdog. But if you did go that route, you could, instead of Priest, go with this lineup, go Daniel Suarez, which I actually like quite a bit. Suarez starts 27th. I think he can move up. So he starts 2 spots back further than Priest, and probably has better finishing potential as well. The only thing I don't like about Suarez this week is his salary here in the slingshot contest. I don't know what asshole priced him up, but but yeah, so don't hate this lineup either. If I'm going with, like I said, Keselowski and Cindric are pretty much my base. If I want to get Larson in there, then it all comes down to where you want to go with the last 2 guys. You can go to DiBenedetto, Suarez. You could go LaJoy, Almirola, LaJoy, Bell, LaJoy, Dillon, Priest. You get the point. Denny Hamlin, should be a contender. Don't really love him starting second. Same time, he scored the most slingshot points this season, and he could easily win this race. No place differential upside, obviously, but can get those stage points and could possibly get the most laps led. So I can't argue against picking Hamlin this week. Martin Truex Jr., like I said, the guy's just so good here. 100 or more laps led in 5 of the last 6 of the last 8. Just absolutely this. I don't think we've seen one driver win both stages and then the race this year. If I'm remembering correctly, this could be the weekend we see it. Those are always prop bets available on sports books. I think it's plus 650 this week. I wouldn't mind, throwing a little bit of money on that, because Truex could definitely do it. The only knock that I can have on Truex this weekend is it is a day race. We have not had a day race at Richmond since 2017. Go back to the day race at Richmond 2017. He started 3rd, finished 10th, 0 laps led. The day race in 2016, 0 laps led for Truex. We all know how good he is at night. He's starting on the pole. That is literally the only knock that I can possibly think, that he won't go out here on Sunday and lead 200, 100, 200, 300, hell, all 400 laps. That's the only thing. That's a gun to my head. Say something bad about Truex this week. That's it. You just can't. This team's firing on all cylinders, and he's really good at flat tracks, and he's really good at Richmond. There's nothing to dislike with Truex this week. So while I typically advise against picking the pole sitter in the slingshot contest, I can see it coming or working this weekend, and I think Truex is on the table for me and for anybody playing this game, really. Putting together a lineup, you're probably looking at, again, Truex, Kez. Sorry, I actually had lineup written down here. Digging into, if you wanted to go, three of the big guys, I don't mind throwing Logano on here. So you got Truex, Kez, Logano. The only thing is, it's going to force you to take De Benedetto if you go with LaJoie, which I'm not a big fan of. I just don't see a ton of upside with De Benedetto. Could be wrong. Always could be wrong. But this is a lineup that is possible that I could end up with this week. Truex, Kez, Logano, De Benedetto, LaJoie. And then to go with a more like central lineup, I do like, Keselowski and Logano. You look at Logano's stats here. Obviously, Penske's really good at flat tracks, but Logano, top 4 in 5 of the last 7 here, including a win back in 2017. One trend to notice here, look at this. Every other race is a 0 in the laps led column for Logano over the last 8. If that continues this weekend, he's not going to lead any laps. But still, definitely a top 5 threat. Solid price here at $11,300 in the slingshot contest. And then don't forget about Alex Bowman this weekend, starting 24th. So you could go Keselowski, Logano, Bowman, grab Cindric, and then that leaves you enough to grab LaJoie. Don't hate this lineup either. I still like having Truex or Larson on there, but this isn't bad either, especially getting Bowman in your lineup. Can't really knock it. And yeah, those are basically, you could make a case for taking Kyle Busch or Harvick this week, but or even Chase Elliott. I'm just not going to. To me, for like Chase Elliott, he's going to win a race eventually. I just don't see it happening this weekend. So for him starting 3rd, I don't see a lot of upside in taking him. Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick, both of them need to have like really good days to finish top 5. Not saying it's impossible, just I would say not incredibly likely. I would rather go with the place differential option here of Alex Bowman starting 24th, and kind of go that route if I was going to go in this price range. But, Kyle Busch, his stats here at Richmond are very impressive. It's just, when are we going to see the freaking old Kyle Busch, But you can't knock these stats, Very solid at Richmond, Kyle Busch is. And Harvick too. Even though Stuart Haas is struggling overall this year, but Harvick top 7 pretty much every race here since 2013. So definitely on the table. Where did he finish last week? I don't even remember. 9th? He should definitely, it's what we've come to expect with Harvick. Top 10, maybe top 5, but by no means guaranteed. But yeah, good luck this weekend at Richmond. Got a very predictable race, followed by next week, I think, is Talladega, if I remember right. Yep. So that's fun. So we go from in my mind, super predictable Richmond to completely unpredictable Talladega. So good luck. Let me know if you have any questions, and that's it. See ya.